Like I would have a hard time knowing how to price things and how to discount things and how to run ads.
It's not a matter of sharing, 50 different pictures of pajamas, but it's a matter of helping people change their mindset.
The internet versus if you're in a store, you can feel it and be like, okay, I like the feeling of this. I want to wear it.
Yep, I am beautiful, I am worthy, I am loved.
All right, friends, today we have Kimberly Wilkerson. She is a guest on the podcast. She just started a company about a year ago, tokenclothingco.com. And we get to learn how she became a speech pathologist and wanted to use the power of words so that when you went to bed, when you woke up, when you looked in the mirror, when you put on your clothes, you were saying positive things to yourself, which leads to a positive life and a positive influence on those we love most. So listen in and be excited to learn more about her pajama company. Hi, friends. Today I have a guest named Kimberly Wilkerson who has started a company and doing all kinds of amazing things. So Kimberly, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. It's a delight to be here.
No, it's so fun. So we met on LinkedIn, I think, right?
Yeah, well, through Pantheon. I think that's how we initially met, was through the Pantheon platform.
Yes. Josh Trapp's whole deal. So fun. He's introduced me to all kinds of amazing people. Good. Okay, so talk to us about you. Give us like younger Kimberly. What was your life like?
Younger Kimberly. Well, I'll tell you what, someone who never would have thought that she would start a fashion company. I promise you that, right? So, going way back into junior high school, I really appreciated theater. I appreciated science. I didn't wear pink until I was into college. And so if you had told me one day you're going to consider a fashion company, I would have laughed. And I went into the science field, right after college, and continued to pursue science, became a speech language pathologist, and have been doing that for the last 15 years. However, earlier on in my 20s, I had this desire to have a fashion company, and not to have one at that particular point, but to eventually have one, which kind of surprised me a little bit. I mean, I had some experiences that led me towards that, but it also surprised me. And I honestly recall sitting in graduate school and, doodling in the side of my notes, some dress designs, thinking, why am I spending all of this money and time in school if I want to do fashion? But looking back over these years, I recognize that timing is a huge piece of everything that we do. And I really needed experience to become the person that could then launch the exact type of company that I'm doing with Token Clothing Company.
Ooh, I like that. You needed to have timing and experience so that it lined up so that you could be the person that could run your clothing company now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But when I look at your clothes, so you said you were drawing dresses. I think I saw pajamas.
That's right. Yes. I was drawing dresses, but when I determined to launch, I was thinking about all of those things that I wanted, could consider doing with fashion. And when it came down to it, I knew that I needed to combine language with fashion, that I just felt that I needed to do that, and it made sense to me. And so I determined that one of the softest, kindest ways to do that was to include pajamas. And fortunately, because of COVID, I guess one positive thing is that we now are in this golden age of pajama wearing and loungewear wearing, and the market continues to look like it's going to increase for a little bit longer. And so I decided that the first product that I wanted to bring to market was pajamas.
Okay. And adult female pajamas, correct?
Right. These are for women. Yes.
Women. And is it because that's like the pajama that you wanted? So then you're like, okay, I'm going to create what I want? Or how did you decide what you were doing with that even further?
Right. That's a good question. So because I knew that I was adding language to clothing, right? I have powerful I am statements, which market research that I did showed that the top 3 statements that women wanted were I am beautiful, I am worthy, I am loved. And so I thought, having the experience of being a woman myself and recognizing some of the language that we automatically default to, critical language that isn't true, but it still runs through our minds. I knew that women experienced more of that type of negative language than men in speaking to men and women over the years, and also then even than children. And so that's why I wanted to start with women, because I wanted to edify and elevate the mindset of women so they could in turn elevate and edify those around them, their families, their work partners, etc.
I like it. And how did you decide what colors you were starting with? I mean, there's so much to fashion, from fit to color to statements to all these pieces.
You bet. So again, I used my own market research. I had 12 different colors. There were, I think, 6 or 7 colors with different shades, varying shades. And I put that out onto social media, and I had questionnaires. And so the words as well as the colors, those colors that I have launched were the top 2 colors that women wanted.
Okay, and that's pink and blue? Is that
A lavender. So it's like a lilac lavender and then a pretty blue color. Yes.
I like it. And I know when I saw the pajamas, like, is it one side doesn't have the writing and the other side does, so you can kind of wear them reversible?
Yes, the tops you can wear reversible, not the bottoms. Again, there was a lot of intention in this. What I did is I had the words printed on the interior side of the fabric. And I did that for a couple of reasons. One is some research that was done by a Japanese alternative medical doctor several years ago. He's since passed away, but his name is Masaru Emoto. And many people are familiar with the research that he did, where he took water and he froze water in petri dishes, and he labeled those dishes with different types of words, positive words like love, gratitude, peace, as well as negative words like hate, envy. And then he froze those crystals, and after some time, I don't remember exactly how many days, he would look at those crystals under a microscope. And in his research, he showed that those crystals who had the hate words, the negative words on them, were very distorted. But the positive word crystals were beautiful. And interestingly enough, with a lot of his work, he would put the words facing the inside of the water droplets on those trays. And so thinking, you know what, we're about 70% water. I understand the power of language, being a speech language pathologist, studying positive psychology for several years, my own personal experience. And so in thinking about that, I thought, you know what, I want those words that are touching the skin and can be an intimate experience with the wearer. However, I also know that we enjoy sharing things. And so you'll notice that if you turn that shirt inside out, that the words are written, the phrases are written both backwards and forwards. And again, that was very intentional. That is so the wearer can look in the mirror and read those statements. But it's also so someone looking at the wearer can read those statements and have that positive language in their mind as well.
Oh, I like that. There was a lot of thought put into this whole thing, right? I mean, you even have to think of font and font size and all the, like, do you want the italics or bold or all the different pieces?
Sure.
Yes. So how long has the clothing line been in business?
So we launched online last October, so almost 1 year.
Wow. And are sales what you expected? Like, what are you learning from online sales right now?
Sure. So with online sales, a piece of that is, yes, it's available to everyone, but no one knows about it until you let them know that it's available to everyone. And so that has been, I think, the biggest thing that I've been focusing on over the last several months is how do I share this product with people so they know that it's even available. Now, there's a difference, right? When we go into a store, a brick and mortar store, and we feel something, we look at it, oftentimes it's easier to make a quick purchase on that item if we really love it. That's not as easy with online purchases, although we know that that market has certainly grown over the last few years, again, because of COVID and then just because of the technology that we have. So a part of that is helping, for me, is helping people understand the purpose of these pajamas and any future lines that I launch. what that language is, how that language empowers a person, and thus why that perhaps that pajama is even more important than another pajama set that you could buy somewhere else, because of what it will do for you and how that language will improve your life.
Mhm. No, I'm guessing they are still really soft, though. We're not discounting the quality and the softness of them. It's just hard to communicate a softness or a texture over the internet versus if you're in a store, you can feel it and be like, okay, I like the feeling of this. I want to wear it.
Mhm. Right. Yeah. I mean, I list what the fabric is, right? It's a combination of a modal cotton French terry knit, which is quite luxurious. It's designed to keep you warm when it's cool and cool when it's warm. And so it is what I call a yummy fabric, right? You want it enveloped around you, but it's hard. I wish that there was a way where we could sometimes reach through a computer screen or a phone and touch that fabric.
Oh, for sure. Okay, so you launched it last October. You've had this vision for a while. What made you finally decide, okay, I'm starting this business? It's no longer a dream of mine. It is something that I'm bringing to the universe.
Yeah, actually, I had a job opportunity in the Virgin Islands that
Hey, that's not everybody gets to say that.
no, as a speech language pathologist, I had an opportunity to go down there and work about 2 years ago. And I remember thinking, if I do this, it's going to be fun. I scuba dive, I snorkel, I love the tropics. But if I do it, I will not launch a business, right? My life will go a different trajectory. And so I thought, I am at a standstill whether I either move forward with this business and put Virgin Islands on hold, or I head down south and have a fun life. And I determined it is time. I need to try this. I need to move forward. I will regret if I do not. And again, this is something I've wanted for 15, 16, 17 years. If I need to go back and calculate that exact moment when I thought, I think I want a fashion line. So why didn't I do this, 10 years ago, right? Why was it at that moment? I've realized a couple of things. Number one, again, I had to become the person, as I mentioned before, that could do what I'm doing. And that takes experience and time. But also, we now, as a culture and society, understand and accept the evidence of positive psychology much more than we would have 10 years ago, 15 years ago, even 5 years ago, right? Again, COVID changed some things for us in way of mental health and really seeking how we use mental and emotional health, not just to stay at the status quo, but to improve our lives. And so I feel that that combination of what we now are understanding through neuroscience research, my experience as a speech language pathologist, those things combined are helping me to be at the right place to bring this product into market.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I like that all came together. How was it sourcing product and designing it and getting it made?
Sure. So I knew that I needed and wanted to stay in the States because as a novice entrepreneur, I didn't want to try to have to deal with foreign policies and procedures related to fashion production. And so I've told people that when it comes to mills, so everything is made in the US, right? I found a mill that actually put the quantities together that I needed for the fabric. They dyed it, they printed the words on it. But it's not like a Target or a Walmart or a Fred Meyer where, hey, if they don't have this lamp, I can go to 3 other stores and look. Every mill in the nation, and probably world, but certainly in the nation, has specific things that they do. So it was a matter of really working with the mill that I chose, samples, looking at different fabrics that I would want, and then being able to say, okay, here's what I want to do, working with a dye house to make sure I had the right dyes on the fabrics for prototyping. That happened out in California in the LA area. But then a huge blessing that happened that I did not expect is that where I live in Idaho Falls, Idaho, down the road, 30 minutes in Blackfoot, Idaho, of all places, there is a cut and sew factory called Dawn Enterprises, which has been around for a long time. And I haven't lived in Idaho Falls for more than 5 years, and most people here don't even know about it. But it was a blessing because once that fabric was produced and shipped out to Idaho, then I was able to have a lot more oversight with the factory and learn from them and see what was going on and go pick up the finished product because it was 30 minutes down the road. So that was, again, just a huge blessing that I could be part of.
No, I'm sure. That would be like gold mine in my backyard all of a sudden. Here we go. Okay, so most retailers are like Black Friday puts them in the black, right? Like they're running red throughout the whole year, and then that day tips them over the edge. Have you found that the same for you in online sales?
You know what? Not yet. And I think it might be because of the nature of being a boutique retailer and being someone, again, who is fresh and new. You know, still, despite some marketing and advertising, still people don't know about Token Clothing Company, or a lot of people don't know about it. So I haven't had those experiences yet that more seasoned experience that more seasoned retailers do have.
Okay. And do you like follow seasoned retailers to say like, okay, here's a good time of year to do a discount, or here's how we do, like, I would have a hard time knowing how to price things and how to discount things and how to run ads and all these different pieces. It's a big undertaking.
Right. It is. And again, as I have thought about how do I want to move forward with marketing, right? I met with a gentleman the other day who even pointed out you have an impact brand, right? It's not making thousands and thousands of pieces of product, but it is trying to make an impact on people's lives, which is true. And so my approach with that, I think, is a little bit different. For one thing, I have this opportunity to meet with you, Jen, as well as a lot of other people who are hosts of various podcasts and other sources of media, because there's a story behind this particular product, right? And I want to share that power of language beyond the pajamas, beyond the company. I want to be able to share how language really impacts us. And so that's part of what I'm doing to help grow that brand and help people realize, again, it's more than just, we need clothing every single day, right? We need clothing to keep us warm. We need to cover our bodies. But how can we make clothing intelligent and powerful? That is the message and the story that I have. And so that has been my focus more than a lot of the technical details of what you might see if you read a how to advertise booklet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, you're going with the story leading impact brand. I like that. How did you pick your models?
Great question. So I have really good friends, right? And a sister-in-law was part of that as well. And so I wanted normal people. When I say normal, I didn't want professional models. I wanted, because this is about real people and changing real people's lives. And I understand that models are real people too. I don't want to negate that. But I thought, I just want women who can have fun. I wanted it to be a great experience or a photo shoot. And so I found friends of varying shapes and sizes and ages, and they agreed. They each, of course, received a complimentary pajama set. And we had such a fun time being able to shoot those pictures. And that is how I found them.
Oh, I love it. It's so, yeah, it's like when I look at your website, I'm like, everybody's so happy. It looks like they're having a good time. And it's just not a traditional photo that you would look at when you typically see people modeling things. So I thought something special was going on there. Yeah. Do you see yourself like adding to the line and expanding the things that you're going to be offering anytime soon?
I do. In fact, I can't give a date because I don't know what that date is, but we are actually launching a line called I Am Tees, and there will be women's tees again. And I'm hoping by the beginning of October at the latest, we're going to do a pre-order sale. That is the intention, to see how much interest there is in this and to make sure that we have our time margin set so everyone gets their teas that are ordered in time and before time for Christmas, so they can also gift them. So that is in the works.
So is it a long sleeve tee because it's winter, or short sleeve tee, or what type of tee?
It's great question. It's going to be a short sleeve tee, and we're hoping around 4 or 5 different color options that women typically like. And again, it's going to be I am statements. It won't be on the interior side. of the tee. It will be on the exterior side so you can share with yourself and with others some really powerful I am statements. It will look very different than the pajama writing, but it will be fun.
Fun. Now, what made you add that? Like, why that the next item? What made that feel like the next evolution?
Yeah, so I wasn't going to bring that forward yet, but I had actually made a couple of tees. I did a design on a couple of tees for myself that I just wanted to wear and kind of as advertisement and to strike up a conversation. And I had those done beginning of July. And I had a lot of feedback from people on, I would love to wear a tee like that. I would love to buy a t-shirt like that. And so I thought, well, okay. That is what precipitated the desire and the decision to be like, all right, let's move forward with this. And again, we'll do a pre-order sale just to see what the interest is and make sure that people have them in time for Christmas.
Nice. Okay. And so then you have Instagram, you have the website, what you have Facebook, Pinterest, and how do you feel content on those platforms with the pajama line?
Right. So I will be very honest and transparent. That is an area that is a weakness of mine. I've never loved social media, right? And I've talked with people who are experts and, they've shared, one person I was talking to said, it still needs to be your content because it needs to be your voice. And so that is an area that I am trying to grow and learn more about. And again, because this is about impact with language, it's not a matter of sharing, 50 different pictures of pajamas, but it's a matter of helping people change their mindset. And so over the next few months, you will see me more active on Instagram and Facebook, certainly sharing some of the messages that I'm sharing over these types of platforms. I will share that as well. But also I've started to curate some information that I think can add value, because that's my, I guess, biggest personal challenge in wanting to get incredibly involved in social media is, what can I share that will add value to whoever is watching or listening? That's important for me, that every single thing that I share adds some type of value to that person's life. And so I'm trying to be very strategic about it, but knowing that needs to move forward a little more than it has.
Okay. Are you still working as a speech pathologist then while you have this company going?
Yeah, so I have been. I finished a contract the end of June. I've taken a couple of months off, which has been a nice fresh of breath air to be able to focus on this, because that's been really challenging, honestly, right? To be a speech pathologist full time and then do business at night. And I've recognized with what I want to do, I need more time. So now I'm trying to balance that where I am, whether it's speech pathology or something else. Again, in the next few weeks, I'm headed back into the other workforce, and it might be something else. It might be a different position. I am doing a little speech pathology privately on the side. So just trying to balance out all of those pieces of entrepreneurship with paying the bills, as we all are.
Yes, 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 yes. And now that the business is up and running a little, do you think you could eventually move to the Virgin Islands and run it remotely now that it's up and established? Or do you still feel like being in Idaho is going to be the best place to make that happen?
At least being stateside, I don't feel that I'm ready, because I have inventory, right? And I don't want to have to delegate that to someone else. And so staying stateside and currently Idaho, I think, is the best decision for me. You never know what will happen down the road. But definitely focusing on this and being responsible with that inventory and making sure that I get things up and running to a level that they can first before heading to the tropics, if I decide to do that, is the best choice.
I like it. I think I'd be called to the tropics, I'll be honest with you. I'd be like, right now, especially winter, when it starts getting cold, I'm like, that beach would feel really nice on my toes right now. I'm just saying.
Yep, I hear you.
Okay, so what's one thing I haven't asked you about this line of clothing that makes you excited about it every day?
Sure. So something that's been really important that we launched just this last spring is an initiative that we have called Pay It Forward with Pajamas. And right now we are working with Refuge for Women, which is the nation's largest long-term rehabilitative program for women who have been sex trafficked. And so through this initiative, Customers have the opportunity to go on and to read the first names and the hopes and the dreams of these women who have been in these situations. And then they have the opportunity to gift a pair of pajamas to these women, as well as write a personal note of encouragement that token clothing will fulfill and make sure that that recipient receives. And so I love that piece. I hope to expand that to other types of organizations similar to Refuge for Women. But that is something that excites me and makes me think about, again, how can we have significant impact, and how can we connect women to others, right? I mean, there's certainly with that type of organization a level of confidentiality, which is completely understandable. But as a customer, you have the opportunity to make positive impact in that woman's life, not just by those pajamas, but also by taking the time and energy to write that personal note to bless that woman's life.
Yes. Now, how did you get involved in that? Did they find you or did you find them?
I found them. I knew, again, 15, 16 years ago when I wanted a fashion company, I always said, well, what will be my philanthropic arm of this? How am I going to serve? How am I going to bring more value? And so I remember shortly after we launched last fall, the thought came to me of what I wanted to do. I'm like, I want to reach out to women who have been trafficked and those organizations that serve these women, because I thought, who might need this language more than anyone else? And so that's why I started the ball rolling with that. And I had reached out to some other organizations that weren't a good fit, but I found Refuge for Women, and we got everything up and running. So I think we launched this initiative in April. So it's just been a few months, but it's been a delight and a comfort, even personally, to be able to do this for this organization and to recognize that these women are receiving these gifts.
Oh, I can imagine. I like how you allowed yourself to look at other companies and be like, you know what? Now that I know a little bit more, this isn't the best fit. And a lot of times it's you need to knock on the doors, understand what each story is, and say it is or isn't in alignment. And it's okay that if it's not, because that means somebody else is, and it just works you towards where that's going to line up.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, so for our listeners today, where do they find you? How do they purchase their favorite pair of pajamas?
You bet. They go to tokenclothingco.com. So that's tokenclothingco.com. And they'll see Pay It Forward with Pajamas, the initiative that we have, as well as just the typical shop button. The line is called Pajamas with Purpose. And they can purchase a pair for themselves or a loved one, certainly participate in our initiative, and read a little bit more about us on that website as well.
Well, I'm excited. I found your pajamas. I thought they were super fun and exciting. I reminded me of Lululemon workout clothes where they put the little like stitching on the inside, but they only do one little strip, right? So yours are the whole thing is give us our three things again. I am love.
Yep, I am beautiful, I am worthy, I am loved.
Ooh, I'm beautiful. I am worthy. I am loved. I even feel better about myself just saying it here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fun. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing the story of your adventure. Everybody listening, go buy those pajamas.
Thanks, Jen. I appreciate that.